build yourself quietly by these 8 ways, let me tell you something most people won't. You don't need an audience to become great. You don't need applause to grow roots. The most powerful transformation happens when no one is watching. Some of the loudest people are the most broken, but the ones who move in silence, they are the ones the world never sees coming until it's too late. This message is not for everyone. It's for the ones who are tired of pretending, tired of proving, and ready to build quietly. If you're serious about becoming unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable, then listen carefully, because these 8 principles will change how you move through the world. In a world obsessed with being seen, the true builders of greatness are the ones who quietly show up every day when no one is watching. Discipline over display means choosing progress over performance. It means resisting the temptation to impress and instead committing to improve. Most people are addicted to being noticed, but the ones who truly make an impact are addicted to becoming better. In silence, in solitude, in secret. Every day we are given the choice to either do what feels good or do what builds us. And often, the thing that builds us is boring, painful, and invisible. There is no clapping, no cheering, no social media post. Just you, the habit, and the silence of repetition. That's where champions are formed. Not on stage, not under lights, but in the discipline of doing what must be done when no one even knows you're doing it. Discipline doesn't shout. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't wait for motivation. Discipline wakes up when it's tired, shows up when it's discouraged, and keeps going when there's no guarantee of immediate results. It's the quiet power that slowly rewires your mind, strengthens your character, and prepares you for the weight of the future you say you want. Too many people today want to look like they're growing instead of actually growing. They confuse motion with progress, applause with achievement, visibility with value. But let me tell you something real. If you need to be seen to stay consistent, you'll never finish what you start. Because growth doesn't always look good. It's messy, it's repetitive, and it happens in the dark. There's a kind of strength that only comes from the private victories no one knows about. Like getting out of bed when your body screams to stay. Like studying while others scroll. Like saying no to what feels good so you can say yes to what's right. These moments won't go viral, but they're the foundation of a future that will. Discipline is the decision to stay faithful to your purpose even when your feelings tell you to quit. Feelings are fleeting, they change with the weather, but purpose, real purpose, demands consistency. It demands loyalty, and you can't be loyal to your growth and your comfort at the same time. Don't let the world rush you into performance. Your progress is not a show, it's a journey. The most powerful transformations don't happen with a spotlight, they happen with silence and sweat. So stop trying to impress people who aren't even invested in your outcome. Stop trying to look like you're winning. Start building the kind of life that is a win, even if nobody claps for it right now. One day, the work you did in private will speak so loudly you won't have to. But until then, build in silence. Show up with consistency. Choose discipline over display. Every single day, because when the lights finally hit you, when the opportunity finally arrives, it will be too late to prepare. You'll either be ready or you won't. And that readiness is only built through discipline. So be the kind of person who doesn't just talk about the dream. Be the one who builds it quietly, brick by brick, habit by habit, in the dark, with no need to prove anything to anyone. That's how legends are made. Not through noise, but through quiet, unshakable, disciplined consistency. Your vision is sacred. It's the seed of something the world has never seen before. But like any seed, it's fragile at first. It needs the right environment to grow. Quiet, care, time, and protection. You can't expose a seed to harsh weather and expect it to thrive. In the same way, you can't expose your dreams to every opinion, every voice, and every doubter and expect them to flourish. One of the biggest mistakes people make is announcing their plans too early. They get an idea, a revelation, or a sense of purpose and immediately feel the need to tell the world. But not everyone around you is safe for your vision. Some people carry criticism like a sword, always ready to cut down anything they don't understand. Others project their fears onto your future because they gave up on their own. If you're not careful, their words will become weeds in the soil of your calling. You don't need validation to be on the right path. Some things are meant to be cultivated in silence. When you protect your vision, you guard it from discouragement, distraction, and premature exposure. Not every part of your journey needs to be public. In fact, the most powerful breakthroughs often happen in private. There is a reason why builders lay the foundation before inviting anyone to see the structure. The foundation isn't pretty. It's not the part that gets compliments. But without it, the entire building would collapse. In your life, your foundation is the early work, prayer, planning, learning, discipline, healing. And all of it needs to happen away from the spotlight. Because the spotlight can't build you. It can only expose you. The truth is, many people aren't against you, but they're not for your vision either. They can't support what they don't understand. And your vision wasn't given to a committee, it was given to you. That means you carry a responsibility to nurture it with wisdom, not recklessness. To water it with faith, not with fear. To feed it with focus, not with noise. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Keeping your plans close doesn't mean you lack confidence. It means you understand the value of timing. There's a season to speak and a season to build. Too many dreams have died in the mouths of dreamers who couldn't wait for the right moment. They shouted too soon and were met with silence or sarcasm. And that wound, it discouraged them from ever trying again. Don't let that be your story. Learn to move in silence. Let your success make the noise. When the fruit is ripe, it will speak for itself. But until then, your job is to protect the process. Keep refining your idea, strengthening your character, and building your foundation. Not because you're hiding, but because you're honoring the vision. Remember, when a tree is growing underground, no one sees it. But the roots are doing the most important work. Your roots, your habits, your mindset, your preparation are everything. The deeper your roots, the higher your future can rise. So the next time you feel the urge to announce your next move, pause, ask yourself, does this need to be said or does it just need to be done? Not everyone needs to know what you're doing. Just make sure you're doing it. Because when the vision is ready, the world will see the results. But for now, your only job is to protect it like it matters, because it does. There comes a moment in every serious person's life where they must decide, do I want to grow or do I want to be praised? Because those two things often don't come together. Growth requires humility. It requires silence, repetition, and the willingness to look foolish for a while. Applause, on the other hand, feeds the ego. It makes you feel like you've already arrived. But the moment you start living for applause, you stop growing. You become addicted to external validation and lose sight of internal transformation. Applause is intoxicating. It feels good to be noticed, to be liked, to be celebrated. But what most people don't realize is that constant applause can trap you. You start performing instead of progressing. You start editing your actions to fit people's expectations, not your true potential. You start fearing failure, not because failure is painful, but because it might cost you the approval of others. And that fear alone is enough to keep you small. Real growth doesn't care if anyone is watching. It happens when you decide to improve for the sake of the future you desire, not for likes, not for praise, not even for compliments. It happens when you're willing to walk away from the crowd and into the work, into the practice, into the uncomfortable process of change. Choosing growth over applause means being okay with being misunderstood. It means turning down the volume of public opinion so you can turn up the volume of your purpose. The crowd will always cheer for what's familiar, but growth pulls you into unfamiliar territory. It makes you question what you've always done, who you've always been, and what you've always believed about yourself. It stretches you, and stretching is never comfortable. Well, that's exactly why most people don't grow. They prefer comfort. They prefer claps. They prefer to look like they're making progress rather than truly making it. They take shortcuts that get attention, but avoid the long path that brings transformation. And while they may have moments of glory, they rarely experience lasting greatness. Don't be deceived by the noise. Just because people are clapping for you doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. And just because they're silent doesn't mean you're failing. Some of your biggest breakthroughs will happen in moments when no one is cheering, no recognition, no applause, just you and the grind, you and the mirror, you and the decision to keep going when quitting would be easier. Sometimes growth means stepping out of the spotlight. Sometimes it means saying no to popularity so you can say yes to purpose. It may mean sacrificing being liked for being aligned, because growth isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like falling down, getting back up, learning the hard lesson and trying again. It's messy, it's humbling, but it's real. And here's the truth: applause fades. People are fickle. One day they praise you, the next day they forget you. But growth is yours forever. What you build on the inside, discipline, wisdom, resilience, no one can take that from you. It becomes part of your character. It becomes the reason you stand strong when others fall. It becomes the legacy you leave long after the noise has died down. So stop asking who's watching me and start asking who am I becoming. Stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment with your higher self, your greater calling, your deeper purpose. Be the person who's more focused on the work than the recognition. Be the person who's not afraid to be unseen for a season because you know you're being developed in the dark. Remember, applause is an echo. It tells you what was good. Growth tells you what will be great. Choose growth every single time. Because the quiet work you do today will echo far louder in eternity than the applause you crave in this moment. Your emotions are powerful. They're not weaknesses, but they're not meant to be your leaders either. If you don't discipline your emotions will discipline you harshly and without mercy. Many people have ruined great opportunities, destroyed valuable relationships, and delayed their destiny because they didn't take control of their emotional responses. They let their feelings make permanent decisions in temporary moments. And the price? Sometimes it's not just painful, it's permanent. Growth, success, and purpose demand a version of you that doesn't react to everything. You cannot afford to live your life as a slave to mood swings, impulses, and emotional outbursts. There is no greatness without emotional discipline. There is no long-term success without the ability to remain steady when everything around you is screaming for a reaction. The truth is, your emotions will lie to you. They will tell you to quit when things get hard. They will convince you that you're not good enough, not worthy, not capable. They will tempt you to respond to disrespect with more disrespect, to answer betrayal with revenge, to let anger speak for you. But every time you let your emotions take the wheel, you drive further away from who you were meant to become. Disciplining your emotions is not about becoming numb. It's not about pretending you don't feel pain, disappointment, or frustration. It's about acknowledging those feelings and choosing not to be controlled by them. It's about building a higher level of awareness where you can feel deeply but still think clearly, where you can be hurt but still act with wisdom, where you can be angry but still remain aligned with your purpose. Strong people don't let emotions run wild. They train them. Like a warrior sharpens a sword, you must sharpen your emotional responses. You must learn to pause when provoked, to think before you speak, to ask yourself, will this reaction cost me more than this moment is worth? Some of the biggest setbacks in life come not from what happened to you, but from how you reacted. Someone insulted you, so you insulted them back. Now the door to a potential opportunity is closed. Someone triggered your insecurity, so you lashed out. Now a relationship that could have grown is damaged. One moment of undisciplined emotion can undo years of progress. That's why emotional maturity is not optional. Don't let your feelings trap you in cycles of self-sabotage. Don't let your emotions convince you that comfort is better than growth, or that being right is more important than being wise. Sometimes the most powerful move is the one you don't make. The angry text you don't send, the bitter word you don't speak, the argument you don't entertain. You must become the kind of person who can sit with discomfort without being driven by it, who can walk through offense and not be owned by it, who can feel fear and not be frozen by it. Mastering your emotions is part of mastering your life. Because until you can lead yourself emotionally, you will never be trusted to lead anything or anyone else. And let's be honest, life won't stop testing you. People will disappoint you, circumstances will stretch you, storms will rise. But if you don't discipline your emotions in the calm, you'll be destroyed by them in the chaos. You need a foundation that is not built on feelings, but on principles. Principles don't change with moods. Principles don't crumble under pressure. They stand when emotions fail. One of the most underestimated forms of self-care is emotional discipline. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves a response. Your peace is expensive. Stop giving it away to anything that pokes at your pride. Learn to walk away not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to protect your progress. This kind of discipline is built over time. It starts in the small moments, the way you talk to yourself when you fail, the way you handle delays and frustrations, the way you respond when people misunderstand you. Every decision to stay calm is a deposit into your future. Every time you choose purpose over reaction, you'll reinforce your strength. You're not losing by holding your peace. You're winning by protecting your power. Emotional discipline isn't about being cold. It's about being in control. It's about not letting temporary emotions destroy permanent purpose. Because when you've mastered yourself, nothing can master you. Not criticism, not rejection, not fear, not anger. You become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because you are grounded. So make the decision today. I will no longer be led by every emotional impulse. I will no longer allow the chaos around me to create chaos within me. I will rise above feelings that want to trap me. I will think higher, live stronger, and respond wiser. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be intentional. Because the version of you that fulfills your purpose won't be the one that reacts, it'll be the one that responds. And there's a world of difference between the two. In a world that celebrates exposure, there is rare power in privacy. Protecting your private life is not about hiding, it's about preserving. It's about understanding that not everything sacred should be shared, and not every part of your life needs to be on display. Growth often happens in silence, and the most important developments of your character, vision, and purpose are not meant to be public until they are mature enough to stand on their own. There's a dangerous temptation today to share everything. We want people to know we're winning, we want validation, we want recognition. But what we often fail to realize is that premature exposure can destroy what you are trying to build. When you constantly seek approval from others, you open doors for their opinions to shape your direction. You allow outside noise to drown out inner wisdom. Not everyone who sees your life claps for your success, and not everyone who claps wants you to win. There's a reason why roots grow underground, because before a tree shows its strength to the world, it must first develop it in secret. Your private life is your root system. It's where your integrity is formed. It's where your discipline is tested. It's where your values are proven. And if your private life is weak, no matter how powerful your public image may look, it will eventually collapse. Public image without private integrity is a recipe for self-destruction. Protecting your private life means setting boundaries, strong ones. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Just because someone is curious doesn't mean they are qualified. Just because they ask doesn't mean you owe them an answer. There is strength in being selective. You are not being secretive, you are being wise. There are seasons of life where the best thing you can do is go silent, go deep, and go private. Not to disconnect from the world, but to reconnect with yourself. Many people lose their peace because they give too much of themselves away. Every detail, every move, every thought. But wisdom knows what to share and when to share it. Wisdom knows how to protect the sacred parts of life from the hands of those who do not value it. Some people only want access to your life to feel important. Others want it to compare, to compete, or even to manipulate. And if you're not careful, your openness can become your greatest vulnerability. True power is quiet. It doesn't have to shout. It doesn't need to post every step of progress. The more secure you are in who you are and where you're going, the less you feel the need to prove it. Growth becomes personal. Purpose becomes private. The applause of others becomes unnecessary. And that's when real freedom begins. Protecting your private life also means being intentional about what influences you. It's not just about keeping people out, it's about being wise about what you let in. What you consume, who you allow to speak into your life, what environments you allow yourself to dwell in, all of it matters. Your private life is where your mental, emotional, and spiritual health are either strengthened or compromised. Guard it. Treat it like sacred ground. And don't confuse privacy with isolation. You don't need to shut the world out completely. You just need to be selective with your circle. Share with those who have the maturity to handle your truth. Share with those who want to see you grow, not control your direction. Share with those who have proven through action that they can be trusted with your process. Because here's the truth. Your transformation is too important to be handled carelessly. You are evolving, and not everyone needs a front row seat to your becoming. You owe no one an explanation for choosing to go quiet while you build, heal, learn, and strengthen. In fact, the most powerful version of you will not be revealed through status updates. It will be revealed through the strength of your presence when you finally arrive. So build in silence. Heal in silence. Prepare in silence. Don't rush to share what is still being formed. Let your results speak when the time is right. Because when you protect your private life, you create space for peace, clarity, and growth. You eliminate distractions. You gain perspective. you strengthen your foundation. And when you finally emerge, stronger, wiser, and more grounded, you won't need to explain how you got there. The fruit will speak for itself. The peace you carry, the power in your voice, the clarity in your direction, it will all be undeniable. So stay focused, stay grounded, stay private, because not everything that is real needs to be revealed. Some things are sacred. Some things are meant just for you. And protecting them is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet strength of a person who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need the world's attention to validate their journey. One of the most underestimated and underdeveloped skills in today's fast-paced world is the ability to truly listen. We live in a time where everyone wants to talk, everyone wants to be heard, everyone is quick to speak, but very few are willing to pause, stay silent, and receive what is being said, both in words and in silence. And yet, some of the most powerful people in history, the wisest, the most grounded, and the most effective, all had this in common. They mastered the art of listening. Listening is not the same as hearing. Hearing is passive. Anyone with functioning ears can hear. But listening is active, intentional, and disciplined. It requires humility, it requires focus, and above all, it requires you to remove your ego from the conversation. You must be willing to not be the center of the moment. You must be willing to not interrupt. You must be willing to receive without immediately needing to respond. Most people don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. They are not present in the conversation. They are preparing their comeback. This kind of interaction doesn't build connection. It builds tension. It creates distance. But when you truly listen, when you're quiet enough to absorb another person's thoughts, their emotions, their intentions, you begin to grow. You begin to learn things that no book or video can teach you. You begin to hear things beneath the words: pain, fear, wisdom, insecurity, truth. And in that moment, you become powerful, not because you said something smart, but because you understood something deeply. Listening is also not just about communication with others, it's about communication with yourself and with your environment. How often do we ignore what our body is telling us? How often do we silence that quiet voice in our spirit that's trying to warn us, redirect us, or calm us down? The universe speaks. God speaks. Life speaks. But we are often too distracted, too loud, too busy trying to be heard ourselves to hear what we actually need to grow. There are answers in silence that noise will never reveal. Mastering the art of listening gives you an incredible advantage. It allows you to anticipate problems before they arise. It helps you understand people on a level most never do. It protects you from foolish mistakes that could have been avoided had you just paid attention. It gives you the emotional intelligence to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. And in leadership, in relationships, in business, and personal growth, this skill alone can transform everything. You cannot be wise if you cannot listen. Wisdom is not found in your ability to speak eloquently. It's found in your ability to discern. And discernment comes from listening deeply, not just to people's words, but to their tone, their body language, their patterns. Pay attention. Listen when someone shows you who they are through actions, not just declarations. Listen when your instincts sense something is off. Listening isn't just with your ears, it's with your whole being. In conflict, those who listen win because they are not controlled by emotion, by ego, by the need to be right. They observe, they absorb, they understand, and when they speak, their words carry weight. People listen to those who first listen to them. Influence starts with attention. Respect starts with understanding. And trust starts with being present. If you want to be taken seriously, learn to listen more than you speak. If you want to grow in wisdom, listen to those who've walked further than you have. And if you want to build meaningful relationships, listen to understand, not to fix, not to control, but to connect. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do for another person is simply to listen, without judging, without interrupting, without trying to solve. Even in your moments of ambition, listen. Listen to feedback. Not all of it will be pleasant, but some of it will be crucial. Listen to failure. It has things to teach you that success never will. Listen to your solitude. It's in those quiet places where your real self is revealed. And listen to your mentors, to the elders, to those who've made mistakes. They paid a price for their wisdom. Don't make them repeat it just because you refuse to listen. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more depth. It needs more people who are slow to speak but quick to understand. People who pause before responding. People who create space for others to be seen and heard. Because in that space, trust is built, healing happens, wisdom is transferred, and transformation begins. So train yourself. Practice silence. Ask questions not to impress, but to understand. Stop needing to prove your intelligence in every conversation. The smartest person in the room is often the one who speaks the least, but listens the most. They are gathering information, weighing thoughts, measuring emotions, and when they speak, it matters. To build yourself quietly, you must become a master listener. Not because silence makes you small, but because it gives you control. It gives you depth. It gives you influence that noise can never buy. The loudest person in the room may win attention, but the quietest often earns respect. And in the long run, respect will take you further than attention ever could. Master the art of listening. Not just to win arguments, but to win understanding. Not just to respond better, but to grow deeper. Because in the stillness, in the silence, in the act of listening, you will hear the guidance you've been searching for all along.